Welcome to Pharmaceutical Soccer. I am so happy to be here with you. It's not normal that we do 2 episodes in 1 week, but we figured with the big occasion coming up during this international break, we might as well do another episode. With that, of course, I bring you Clay Train and Valer Shabilla, and we have a guest with us today. He is Nashville's captain, Nashville legend, last place in MLS 360 goal scoring predictions, but first place in our hearts. That would be the one and only Dax McCarty. Dax, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Always a pleasure. Thanks for bringing up a sore subject for me with my goal scoring picks, but I'll still forgive you.
It's okay. We have faith in you. We understand. Like, we're hoping that non-last place finish, but you never know. But
you really don't. I needed Walker Zimmerman to score for me, by the way. I picked him this past weekend. It would have been 3 points. Not happy with Walker. I'll tell him that in person.
Well, it was funny because I was about to mention Walker because he really put you on the spot, in his repeat appearance on Apple TV over the weekend. He made a big deal about a repeat appearance and then said he knew who you were going to be rooting for in the Nashville-Atlanta game. And then he goes out and doesn't help you. And Nashville loses. So.
Typical Walker. Typical.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Nashville here in a few minutes. But before we get to that, I think it's important to talk about, obviously, there is a big international match coming to Nashville. South Korea is playing Mexico. And this match has been made more interesting in the last few weeks, obviously, with Son coming to MLS. And I really do think that we've started to see a lot more influence, I think, of Asian players within MLS in the last probably 2 or 3 years. We've talked about it on this show. Obviously, Valer is originally from Iraq. But what have you been seeing kind of behind the scenes actually working, with the league and the type of influence that the Asian market brings MLS?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I do think it's a little bit of an untapped market from a Major League Soccer perspective. But I got to tell you, it's not untapped anymore. Okay, that market is tapped about as much as it can be with, for me, an absolutely transformative signing for Major League Soccer. Son Heung-min is, first of all, off the field, nothing but I've heard is he's a gentleman. He's a gentleman. He's about as humble as you can get. He does media appearances. He goes out. He wants to be involved in his community. He was beloved at Tottenham for his contributions there. People would travel from Asia to go see him play, over in England. And I don't think anything is going to change. I think people are going to be traveling to see him play from far and wide. He just can't really, I think if the league was putting together the ideal signing, I think you would have Son Heung-min up there right at the top with the David Beckhams and the Lionel Messis of the world in terms of his impact, both on the field and off the field. So we're certainly seeing his impact off the field already in terms of, turnout, especially from the Asian community, for sure. I mean, his first game in LA was absolutely electric. And then he's doing what he does on the road. People are getting bumps in attendance because of his stature and because of who he is. And now on the field, you're going to start to see him, I think, really be at his best. He's already made an influence in a couple of games, drawing the penalty against Chicago, getting a nice assist against New England. He hit the post and was dangerous in their last game against San Diego. But on the field, he is going to be fantastic.
And I think if we just stick with the off-the-field stuff just really quickly, one thing you mentioned is like people traveling to London to see him.
Yep.
I think one thing that America has that a lot of other countries don't have is these huge diasporas of different cultures and different people. So for him, the Korean community in LA is huge, obviously. But we've seen those in pockets all throughout MLS markets, really. Whether it's a Mexican player or Mexican heritage player or something like that. But I think that's kind of another thing that MLS has potential in. Obviously, on the pitch, you'll see players from all over the world representing different countries, different regions of the world. But, I can tell you from experience, like when there's been 3 Iraqi players who've played in MLS, and Iraqi fans will go show up. It's just we don't have as big of a community in those areas like it was Vancouver and Columbus and stuff like that. But
Sure.
If there's a market in Detroit or San Diego now, if San Diego signs an Iraqi player, there will be a lot of Iraqi people going there. So it's like it's one of those things that it's not just folks from that country coming in; it's American people who either have ancestry or are immigrants themselves.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I think it's a fantastic point because the U.S. is a melting pot. It's a melting pot of so many different cultures and so many different countries and people and backgrounds. And that's what makes our country great. And that's what makes our league great. Major League Soccer is right up there at the top, at the very top of how many different nationalities represented in Major League Soccer. It doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter what your background is. Major League, if you're good enough to play here and you can add something on the field, then I think MLS teams will scout you far and wide. And so certainly, referencing back to my original point about the Asian communities, they are everywhere in the United States and especially in Los Angeles. I believe Sasha Kleshtin made the point that Koreatown in LA was like 4 or 5 miles from BMO Stadium, from where LAFC plays. I mean, it just really couldn't be any more of a home run signing for LAFC, for that fan base, for Steve Cherundolo, for his swan song, his last couple months in Major League Soccer, to have a superstar like Son Heung-min on your roster to help you make that final playoff push. It doesn't get better than that. And full credit to John Thorrington. I mean, let's be honest, guys. LAFC, they made a mistake with Olivier Giroud, and they corrected that mistake so quickly and then replaced him with an even better player, an even bigger superstar who's going to move the needle even more. LAFC is just one of the model franchises in Major League Soccer in terms of how they do business, and John Thorrington and that whole front office deserves a lot of credit.
They've managed to both excite and annoy both sides of the North London derby. Real quick, off the at least soccer pitch thing, will there ever be an MLS player have a better first pitch than Son had at the Dodgers game? I'm not sure if you saw it.
I thought I did.
A soccer player threw a strike.
Did he throw a strike? Yeah. You know what? I did see that clip, and it was accurate, but it was a little. It could have used a little more juice on it. I think a little bit more juice. I think you're going to see a first pitch one of these days where a guy just absolutely slings one. And it's like right down the middle, 80 mile per hour, like real good pitch.
How come we never got you at a Sounds game doing the first pitch?
I know. Listen, I would have. I just wasn't quite big enough. I wasn't bigger than Hani. I wasn't bigger than Walker. Even though I was the first captain, they were like, Dax isn't going to move the needle for us. If the Sounds have me back, I'm going to send it. I'm throwing it as hard as I can. It'll go fast. Now, whether it's accurate or not, that remains to be seen.
We got somebody in the organization that we can help out with that.
Get you an out. If you needed a former teammate to get you an out, which teammate is it going to be?
Dan Lovitz. Dan Lovitz, pretty athletic guy. He's quite good at the Nashville SC end of the year party game. Slosh ball. I'm not going to go into details about everything that entails. Okay, we'll keep that between us. But he's good. He's good. He would be able to do it.
So, kind of moving back towards the actual upcoming game, why should Nashville fans be excited about this Mexico-South Korea match?
Well, yeah, obviously have two soccer mad countries. You have two very good teams and two countries with tremendous support, tremendous backing. Obviously, the Mexican national team is it's well known how well traveled they are in terms of, they can sell out pretty much any stadium in the United States. And listen, this is a good game for both of these teams. It's a really nice test, a great tune-up. Mexico had their struggles, but they are starting to play better. Obviously, coming off of a Gold Cup championship where they beat the United States in the final, they'll be confident. They have some seriously talented players, some really good young players coming through that are going to contribute for a very long time to making Mexico relevant and good again. And then, obviously with South Korea, one of the best, most storied nations in Asia, I don't know if they've qualified for the World Cup yet. Have they? Do you guys know that?
If they haven't, it's happening. I mean,
I would
it's
say,
gonna happen.
yeah, I would hazard a guess. It's pretty much a foregone conclusion considering their quality and stature in the Asian Football Federation. But they have great players, and Sun is just one of the many that they have that's going to put on a show. So I think it's a great showcase for soccer in our region, right? In the South, specifically in Nashville at Geodis Park, the biggest soccer specific stadium in North America. I mean, they've shown they can sell out big games before, and this one's no different. It should be a great test for both of these countries.
I think I kind of had a little slip in my brain because South Korea were in Iraq's group and they definitely qualified as the first in the group to go to the World Cup. They were like one of the first two countries
Blair.
to do it. Yeah, I was like, wait, I watched these games. What's happened? As soon as I saw the table, I was like, never mind. I know.
I thought they had already qualified, but look, you have two teams who have already qualified for the World Cup who both can put on a show, and so. I mean, let's be honest, guys. There's not that much time before the World Cup. I mean, it's literally right around the corner, which it's actually hard for me to fathom how quickly it's going to be in our backyard in the United States. And so both of these teams will be a part of that World Cup. It should be a fantastic occasion.
I remember it
it's
being
so much
2 or
more
3 years ago
difficult to schedule these types of games now with the way that the friendly calendars are. Like it's
The
so much
nation
more
leagues.
difficult to get these sort of high quality opponents before the World Cup on the calendar.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, Clay. And so anytime you can do it, you have to try to schedule the highest quality opponent that you can. Because if you are the U.S. and Mexico and Canada, you don't have World Cup qualifying. And so that is a little wrinkle that I think people might overlook is the fact that you don't get these high pressure games. You just don't in the lead up, in the run into this massive, massive occasion coming next year. So like Valer said, South Korea is already qualified, but they're going to want to be sharp going into the tournament. So they want to obviously play against a good Mexico team. And then Mexico, they need to play against teams that are going to test them. And South Korea is absolutely going to do that.
Awesome.
So whenever you're sitting here as like, obviously you're retired now, but going back to whenever you were a player and you'd see these international matches happen in your home stadium that you maybe don't have anything to do with, what is that like as a player? Like just knowing that this quality is coming in, like, is that a fun situation for you to watch? Are you sitting there? Is it hard for you to watch those games in the stands?
I guess it depends on the game. For sure. There have been some friendly games that have been played at MLS stadiums that I've said, nah, not going to that one. And then there have been other games where it's some pretty high-profile opponents and teams, and you absolutely want to go and just get a different reference point and a different vantage point from what you normally do. I remember when they first opened Geodis, I was pretty healthy, guys, for my whole career in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't really ever get a chance to watch any games from the stands. I was either starting or on the bench. And so from that standpoint, the first time I got to watch a game from the stands in Geodis, I was like, this really is a great stadium. Like, truly. Like, this is a totally different vantage point. It's a different view. I may or may not have enjoyed some of the beverages and delicious food that the stadium has on offer.
Absolutely.
But I will say this is a game I absolutely would have gone to and absolutely would have been proud to go and see how Geodis hosted both of these two teams and then how the teams played because I think it's important. It's important for soccer culture down in the South and specifically in Nashville to continue to maybe bring out fans of Mexico and fans of South Korea who maybe had never been to a Nashville SC game. And then they come to the stadium and they say, wait a minute, we've got this gem of a stadium right in our backyard where our local team is really good and we can go to this stadium every week or every other week. Yeah, I want to go and get season tickets or I want to go to Nashville games. And so I think that's the dream.
Yeah, I think it's crazy just because, we've traveled around to a lot of away stadiums as well, and the question is always asked to us, what is your favorite stadium? And the question is always answered from my end. I'm sorry to be selfish, but, I love my home stadium. Yeah. I love being at Geodis Park. It's phenomenal, and it does have the ability, it is such a gem of a place. It does bring in these international matches. Obviously, a couple U.S. matches have gone there specifically. More international matches are going to be happening here. And it's great to see, normally we've had the U.S., but to see two teams like Mexico and South Korea come in to get a different audience than would normally be there for, say, a normal U.S. match.
Exactly. And both of these teams are in really good form, by the way. But both of these teams are unbeaten in 5. They haven't lost. A couple of draws sprinkled in there here and there. But, I mean, Mexico's won 4 of their last 5. South Korea's won their last 2. Like, you're getting 2 good teams that are going to play each other and 2 different styles of play as well. If I was in Nashville, I would absolutely try to make it out to this game.
So we do hope that everyone can make it to the game, but we have Dax McCarty on Pharmaceutical Soccer, and we're going to talk about Nashville now. Does that sound good to you?
Let's do it, man.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. Just looking back to the last time you were on here, there's a lot of cautious optimism, I think, going around Nashville SC. And we thought, the team might be better than maybe some of the preseason prognostication has gone. So I'm just curious, just generally speaking, as a former player, as someone who was here at the start, as a fan, how much fun have you had watching Nashville this year?
Oh, I've had a blast. I've had a blast, and it's been fun watching, but also a little bittersweet because I get to see how much fun the guys are having on the field. And not to say that we didn't have fun when I was there, because we certainly did. We just did it in a different way, and we played in a different way. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I feel like selfishly, this system would have suited me perfectly for how I played and how I wanted to play, and just how the team is so free-flowing and so much better with using the ball, building out of the back, the bravery that I see from everyone, how they play out of the back, the line of confrontation is so much higher up the field, being able to press and counter-press. I mean, I played a lot like that at Red Bull, and it really suited my game. And obviously when I got to Nashville, I was a little bit older, but definitely envious of the guys, because I know a lot of guys are still there from my time there, and a lot of them are having career seasons. I mean, look at Sam Surridge. He's having a career year, fantastic year, neck and neck with Lionel Messi for the Golden Boot. I mean, that's a nice little feather in his cap. I hope he wins it. Mm-hmm. Dan Lovitz having one of the best seasons of his career. A former teammate of mine that I played with in DC, Andy Nahar, has been the best fullback in Major League Soccer this year. You go down the list, Alex Mawil having a great season. I'm really happy for all those guys, because I know last year was a really difficult year, the transition year, moving on from Gary, who had been such a great steward for the club, and then bringing in BJ, where there was a little bit of uncertainty. It was his first real head coaching job, where it was his team. So, preseason predictions are a fool's errand. I don't want anyone referencing our preseason predictions, because I had San Diego finishing last in the West, and look at how that turned out. But I did have Nashville making the playoffs. It was a little cautious. I think they were 6th or 7th, but I digress. I'm just so impressed with everything Nashville's done this year. I want to see them get in a little better form, though. They've 3 losses in their last 4, and the 1 win was a big one against a heavily rotated Orlando City. So not a great time to have a little wobble, but you still have some breathing space in terms of, I believe they have 6 games left, is it? Including the Open Cup. So
with the Open Cup is 6, yeah.
6, so potentially 7 if they get past Philly. But yeah, I've had a ton of fun watching the guys.
That's it? There's only 6 matches left?
That, the only thing I took out of that is that you played for DC? No,
I did. Crazy, right?
I'm just kidding.
5 months. I didn't even play for them, really. I kind of had a cup of coffee there. And then Ben Olsen was like, hey, man, we've got a chance to go get Dwayne De Rosario, and Red Bull just wants you, and we're going to send you on your way. I said, all right, I'll go pack my bags. I would have made the same decision.
It was for the best, obviously, seeing how your career turned out. But yeah, you mentioned those losses and sort of the current form of Nashville SC. What is the sort of perception of that? Maybe you're a little bit more on the outside now and looking at whether it's pundits or former players or whatever. what is the perception of these losses? Are they looking at it as more of a blip? Are you looking at it more of a blip, and Nashville will kind of go back, or is this a more concerning sort of trend that is happening?
I look at it as a blip. I don't think there's a concerning trend here. I mean, obviously, you don't want to lose 3-4, but if you're going to do it, it's better to do it now where you still have time to correct things. I just think there have been some self-inflicted wounds, if I remember correctly. I mean, just things that we hadn't seen Nashville do. They've been beating themselves quite often. I think back to the St. Louis game. Just some really sloppy goals conceded against St. Louis that you would not normally expect out of a really good Nashville backline. Joe Willis has had another good season, but he's made a couple of mistakes recently, which I'm not worried about. I know he's going to correct those. And then I still believe that Walker is such a key piece to this group and this backline, and he's just been dealing with, I know I believe he started against Atlanta United, but I do think he missed, a couple, the NYCFC game, maybe the St. Louis game. Like, he's such a big piece to that puzzle and to that team, and he's such a great leader and such a strong defender still. You just wonder, how healthy he can be going into the postseason. He needs to be 100% going into the postseason because I love the combination between Sam and Hani. I think it's brilliant. But Walker is going to be the key to that back line. And the other aspect where my only concern with Nashville, guys, really is secondary scoring when Sam and Hani don't score. I mean, I think the next highest goal scorer other than Sam and Hani is 2, right? Like, there's a couple guys on 2, and so your strikers, you pay them to score goals. They're scoring goals. That's what they do. But they're going to have off games every now and then. You're going to need to rest them every now and then. You need a little more. For me, you need more production from your midfield, from your dual 10s or your dual wide players, however you want to describe them in BJ's system. Kassem, Alex Moyle, Schaffelberg, they can all offer different things. I mean, Tyler Boyd is back now, which is a really nice boost, I think, for that midfield. But one of them, if not 2 of them, are going to have to step up and start taking more responsibility to put shots on target, to score goals. Because let's be honest, guys. I mean, if I'm game planning against Nashville SC, I circle Sam and Hani and I say, let's really concentrate all our attention there and make other players beat us. And if they can't, they can't. So I think secondary scoring is going to have to improve.
It is funny how it changes but doesn't change at the same time, because when you were a player here in Nashville, it was just circle Hani just to see what's going to happen. Now it's just circle Hani and Sam and get those out of the way and you're good to go.
Exactly.
From your perspective as a player, especially coming down to the end of the season, there has been a lot of talk from MLS pundits specifically about especially this international break, that Nashville needing one of the teams that needs that break more than anything. From your perspective, is there certain systems that you have played in where by the end of the season you're way more exhausted and tired than other systems? And do you think that is affecting Nashville at all?
I do think there's a little fatigue for sure. Even though I like how BJ has rotated his team. I really do. I think BJ. I was in the stadium for Nashville SC Orlando City in the Open Cup down in Orlando. And Orlando City started their entire first team, their best players, and Nashville rotated heavily. And a bunch of their first team guys weren't even there, and Nashville still won the game and played well. And I was just so impressed with that. And the fact that BJ, it doesn't matter where you're playing, it doesn't matter who you're playing, it doesn't matter who's on the field, they're all going to be asked to do the same things. And I love that. I find that so refreshing from a spectator's point of view, but also as an analyst, that a coach is so secure in his thought process and his methodology, in his players, in his backups, his reserves, that he will say, look, I still believe and trust in you guys. I'm not changing how we play. We're going to play the same way. So I think that's a big benefit for this Nashville team, but I do think there's a little fatigue here that always sets in throughout the summer months. When I was at Red Bull, and we played in a really aggressive, high-pressing system, you felt it. You just felt it a little bit more towards the end of the season than you did when you played in a system more like Gary's, where you could sit back a little bit deeper and you didn't have to be sprinting as much. There's just differences. So It's normal. The players will recover. This break is coming at a good time for them to kind of regroup, refresh. Um, I look at the schedule, guys, and they got 3 massive games coming up at Cincinnati, which is a huge game. I'm really interested to see what BJ ends up doing because I think that Nashville has a real chance to win the U.S. Open Cup this year. I think they should put all their eggs in the Open Cup basket. I don't personally believe that they should care about the Shield. I think the Shield is probably out of the question for them at this point, even though not mathematically. But I just think that you need to a top 4 spot is the most important thing. Go win the Open Cup and then be in good form going into the playoffs. That's how I would approach it. Now, if you're BJ, you probably say, I want to win everything. I want to win the Shield. I want to win MLS Cup, but all of it. But I just think the Shield is maybe a step too far right now. And so I'm curious what they're going to do against Cincy, and then another massive game in Orlando after that Philly Open Cup semifinal. It's a big part of the season right now. I mean, obviously, as a fan of Nashville SC, as guys who cover the team, I mean, this is the most exciting time right now for that team, and specifically maybe since the 2023 Leagues Cup run.
Just looking at it as someone who's been in a locker room during a Shield race, during a postseason push, do you think in some ways this little run of losses to kind of push Nashville out of the Shield race sets them up in a way where they can better set up to get ready for the playoff push, because now they don't have to treat, the last 6 games like they're all cup finals?
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I absolutely do. I think if you ask any player in that locker room, they would say they're pissed about losing some of the games that they've lost recently. I don't think they should have lost to St. Louis. I think the game against Atlanta United was a real wake-up call because Atlanta United is not a good team this year. And we have a set kind of expectation for Nashville that, teams below you, especially in the playoff picture, you need to be taking care of business. And the fact that the game was at home, I think it was a real punch to the gut and a big wake-up call. But also, like you said, Clay, I think it's a little bit of a blessing in disguise to know that the Shield is probably at this point a bridge too far to really realistically go and win. So you can just focus on the Open Cup, making sure that you win and put your best foot forward in the Open Cup. And then once playoff time rolls around, it's go time. The Eastern Conference is an absolute bloodbath. There's just so many high-quality teams. I see 7 teams. The top 7 teams in the East are all toss-ups. I think any of them can beat any of the other teams on any given day. And then a team like Chicago is kind of a dark horse. A team like NYCFC is kind of a dark horse. I mean, it's a big test. It's going to be a big test in the playoffs for this Nashville team. But I still like them to win a trophy this year.
So before we move on, we'll keep it light to end it real quick. We did start off with a lot of talk about Son, and as such, I feel like we should flip the table a little bit here towards the end for the Arsenal fans, including one on this show.
Sure.
So you're in the studio now, and you're doing the studio stuff every week. Yep. And obviously you were in the locker room with Thierry Henry, and you drew a lot of influence from Thierry Henry. Are you looking at Henry now as a studio host or as a studio analyst for inspiration on that front as well?
Man, I got to be honest. I do watch some of the Champions League coverage and stuff that they do, and I just think they're brilliant. I think Thierry's really come into his own as an analyst. I think he's brilliant. But if I was going to try to take things from Thierry Henry and try to add that to my repertoire, I think I would be taking crazy pills. I like genuinely, like there is no world or stratosphere where I need to be trying to be an analyst on the level of a Thierry Henry, a guy who's won a World Cup and a Champions League and a Premier League, and generally a guy who's considered one of the greatest players in the history of the game. The one thing that I was told, guys, before I started going into this analyst stuff was just be yourself. You can't be anyone else. Be authentic to who you are. Be authentic to your character, your experiences, who you were as a player, and now how you see the game. And that's what I try to do. I respect a ton of different analysts and I respect a ton of different people in the media game. And there are maybe little technical things I take from people here and there. But by and large, I really just try to see the game and analyze through my own lens. Because if I tried to skew more towards the Thierrys of the world, I think I would end up looking like a moron. So, yeah, Thierry's brilliant. I think he's great. I love watching those guys on Champions League, and hopefully we over at MLS Season Pass, our analysts and our crew, I hope we give people that sense of education, that sense of fun, that sense of, hey, these guys really know what they're talking about, but they keep it light, and they're entertaining. I mean, that's the dream for any crew, and so I hope we've found that niche.
And I do, and I think the rest of us believe that you have absolutely had that niche. MLS 360 has been one of my greatest watches, and a lot of it is just because of the transparency and the fun that you guys have. So, as always, we want to thank you again so much for coming out on the show. We really do appreciate it for you taking the time. Hopefully, we'll be celebrating a Open Cup win for Nashville here in a little bit. Maybe have you back on after that potentially happens. Would love to be able to talk to you again. But thank you so much again for the time, and looking forward to watching you the rest of the season.
Always a pleasure, guys. Steven, thank you for the kind words.